Officer, do you have reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime here?
I don't.
Okay. Are we being detained? No reasonable articulable suspicion for a crime and you arrest somebody? We're not being charged with trespassing.
I don't know what's going on. I'm here to.
Well, that's a shame.
You're not being very Christian right now.
Oh, you don't define me as Christian. Christianity is not absolute obedience to the state and tyranny. Disobedience to tyranny is obedience to God, friend. Suspicion for a crime.
Of going to sleep at night.
Of course you don't, because you're a tyrant. You're a tyrant.
Welcome back to the LackLuster channel. In early January, a small Christian group had gathered to carry a cross as they walked through rural areas of North Carolina. The pastor was carrying a cross, while his 14-year-old son walked with him, carrying a flag. The other two members of the team remained in a safety vehicle, moving ahead on the pastor's path. The safety vehicle was parked lawfully on the side of the road. But as the pastor and his son got closer to the team, he noticed two officers from the Gaston County Police Department speaking with the vehicle's occupants.
I mean, what's going on? Somebody called in about this vehicle being out.
Officer, do you have reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime here?
I don't.
Okay. Are we being detained? This is my vehicle, so.
I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, we're walking across America. I've already walked across the United States. I live in Bell. I like to go out with short walks with my cross and pray for the country. They're running the SAG vehicle. Nothing to it.
That's great.
So if you don't have a reasonable articulable suspicion for a crime, then we're just going to keep go about our way.
No, they're not.
Are we being detained? Are they being detained?
You can go about your way, and I can detain them. So
are you detaining them?
Step over there. I'm talking to them. Somebody called in about them. I'm trying to keep somebody from going in handcuffs and going to jail.
Well, sir, you don't have any reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime.
Stand over there.
And you're being filmed. You're on tape.
That's fine.
This is my vehicle, so
that's fine.
I'm just letting you know what's going on.
That's fine.
All right, continue your business then.
What I'm trying to explain is, somebody's called in about this vehicle, okay? About it sitting here.
Is it parked illegally?
Can you let me talk?
No, sir, because I don't want to see our time wasted because somebody made a phone call. You can see that we're not breaking the law, sir. Yeah, we live in a free country.
Stop. I'm trying to keep everything documented in case people call in again. That's what I'm saying. So if somebody does call in again, it says, hey,
you've got a description of the vehicle. We're walking with the cross.
Can you listen to me?
Well, get to your point. So with all due respect, we shouldn't be detained for something like this.
All due respect, I'm talking to them. I'm talking to them. You had nothing to do with this, right?
I have absolutely everything to do with it because we're a team and I'm responsible for them.
The officer's radio responds, confirming that the vehicle's registration is valid.
Stand over there. I'll talk to you in a minute. I'm talking to them. Okay? Yes, I do have a right. I'm trying to keep somebody from going into handcuffs.
Unless you have a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime, you have no right to detain us, sir.
Yes, I do.
This is not a stop and frisk state.
Yes, I do. Stop.
No, you don't.
Stop.
I'm going to stand right here.
Sir, give me the opportunity to give me your life. Okay? If not, I'm going to have you step out of the vehicle. I'm going to detain you. Stop.
I'm just making sure I got you on film.
Stop. Because I'm trying to figure out your identity. Somebody called in. I'm trying to keep everything documented and figure out what's going on. Can you give me your license? No, that's not. Okay.
All right.
Stop. Stop. Y'all stand over there.
I'm not moving, man.
Okay. Y'all stay right there.
I've not moved since you told me to stay.
The pastor now takes to Facebook Live and explains to his audience what is happening as the occupants of the safety vehicle are detained and placed in handcuffs.
Here we are walking with the cross across America. These Gaston County officers came up here. We're completely legally parked here off the highway, and they've pulled them out of the car without any reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. Look at them being frisked there. Josiah, step back. We just walked up with our cross. The officer told us we were legally parked. He got a phone call, and this is the basis whereby they are searching and frisking both Bethany and Carter without any reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. So if you guys are seeing this, call into the Gaston County Sheriff. This is unbelievable. No crimes, nothing. Sir, you don't have my permission to search my vehicle without a warrant. Yes, you do. You need my permission to search. This is my vehicle. I can provide the registration. You got folks got nothing better to do than harass some Christians just minding their own business. Don't you think you got enough drug activity in this county to spend your time on other things? Just some Christians that live legally and are parked legally. Parked legally.
Hey, you're trespassing. This isn't your property.
A backup unit from another agency now claims that they are trespassing, but the dirt road that they are on has a city street sign, and while it is a dirt road and likely maintained by the residents that farm the field nearby, there was also a stop sign at the other entrance. Furthermore, after logging into the county's GIS survey website, which displays the property lines in yellow, it becomes clear that the dirt road is a public road and is not owned by any of the local residents. But even if it was private, the safety vehicle is clearly parked in a lawful manner on the public easement. In fact, the first officer declares that the only reason that they're there is because somebody called to report the vehicle as suspicious.
Somebody's called in about this vehicle, okay? About it sitting here.
Is it parked illegally?
With just a phone call, any encounter initiated by the law enforcement agency would be viewed as consensual, making the detention and pat-downs of both occupants questionable at best, or an unlawful violation of their civil rights.
You have nothing to do with this.
I do, sir. This is my team. I'm the team leader.
You have interfered on my investigation.
I have not.
I've gave you every chance to be quiet and separate yourself from this.
I'm standing right where you told me to.
Go stand over there.
I can't go back in there. He told me I was trespassing. Don't touch me, sir.
Stand over there.
Don't touch
Go
me.
stand over there.
I will back up a few feet.
I have cooperated with y'all and gave every chance.
You have no reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime.
Stop. This is ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous that you guys got 3 vehicles out here on some peaceful Christians who are not breaking any laws. Unbelievable.
You're not being very Christian right now.
Oh, you don't define me as Christian. Christianity is not absolute obedience to the state and tyranny.
Not me.
It's not absolute obedience to the state. You're live on Facebook right now.
You're live too.
Good. You guys ought to be ashamed of yourself. No reasonable articulable suspicion for a crime.
Of going to sleep at night.
Of course you don't, because you're a tyrant. You're a tyrant. Yeah, you just admitted it, didn't you? Unbelievable.
With you. That's your statement. That's your belief.
No, you admitted it.
With you.
This is unbelievable.
This is an unlivable argument.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
we live in a free country, friend. We have a right to walk down the highway and park the car in a legal spot.
This isn't a legal spot.
Yes, it is a legal spot. This is a road with a stop sign.
It's not.
Yes, it is. Have you ever been to the other side?
This is private property. This goes through somebody's property.
It is a legal road. Go to the other side. You'll see a stop sign.
Here that owns this property?
Well, let's go to the other side. But that's not the issue here. We're not being charged with trespassing.
I don't know what's going on. I'm here to.
Well, that's a shame. That's a shame. Disobedience to tyranny is obedience to God, friend. You're violating they're violating their civil rights. You're okay with that?
I don't even know what you're just talking about.
I can talk about whatever I want to have freedom of speech. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. No reasonable articulable suspicion for a crime. What's he being arrested for, officer? No reasonable articulable suspicion for a crime and you arrest somebody?
Doesn't have to give him his ID if he doesn't want to.
Every chance, dude. I was trying to get in and out of here. Trying to let y'all go do whatever y'all want to go do. And honestly, I could take y'all to jail too because I told y'all to step back.
I'm step back, sir, just like you said.
These other people serving and protecting us.
Just keep your mouth shut. Got it all on film.
The vehicle's occupants are questioned as more and more backup units arrive on scene for the parked car.
Peaceful crosswalkers, minding their own business, parked. No reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime. It takes 6 officers, 4 vehicles. And you guys aren't aware of people's rights. And what
you're not aware of the law.
You're not. I am very much aware of the law. What law are we breaking?
This car was called in as being suspicious by a neighbor.
We explained to you what we were doing and what our purpose was. Calm down, officer. De-escalate. suspicious vehicle is not a crime. Now we have a fifth vehicle and another officer. You'd think we were terrorists here. What is it, 7 officers now? 5 vehicles, just walk. I guess it's walking down the road with the cross, sitting quietly, all because somebody made a phone call. I guess that makes it a crime these days. Guess these folks don't have much better things to do here. I thought there's a lot of drug activity in these counties. Right there's an old post with what looks like a old no trespassing sign. Here's the road. You can see they're parked on the outside side of the post here. There's the main road, just to pull off to wait for the walkers. And that requires 5 police vehicles and 7 officers. I asked if we were being detained and they wouldn't give me an answer. Carter's in handcuffs in the back of the vehicle. All he did was ask if the officer had a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. We're not required to provide an ID unless there's reasonable, articulable suspicion for a crime. 7 officers here, 5 vehicles. I walked up as they were being questioned. This young officer over here's got a little touch of short man syndrome. He was mouthing and very, very aggressive for no reason whatsoever. Someone called the Gaston County Sheriff's Department and complained, say that there are civil rights being violated out here. And it's just outrageous. Now they're sitting there having a little conference call. I'm telling you folks, when a nation's moral compass is broken, it affects even law enforcement.
Now detained for nearly half an hour, the first responding officer begins asking questions. In moments like these, it's easy to fall into their trap and to answer their inquiry, which is why I recommend Attorney Shield. For information, use the links below.
Where did y'all start the walk at?
I walked across America, and I finished in October. I live in Vail, and we just go out and do short walks. And so we started today kind of over near Baxter Road. Right at the Gaston County line, all we were trying to do was walk to Cherryville. And we saw this cut across, and there's a stop sign on the other side, and there's a street name. It says Baxter Road, and it's got an arrow pointing both ways. And we just simply walked through here, knowing that I told them to find a place where they could be off the road and park, and we were going to trade here, walk Delview Road into Cherryville and call it a day. There were no signs. I looked. I mean, I've walked across America. I know, try to stay off private property. There was no signs or anything. We stayed on the road and we just walked out and found you guys here.
After explaining their route to the Tyrant, the officer demonstrates that he does not understand the Fourth Amendment or the requirements necessary to demand a person's identification.
And what somebody did was they called in about a suspicious vehicle in the area. Okay, we got a call for service coming out here. So there's an SUV sitting right here at Baxter Road and Delview Road. I come out here. I spoke to the son.
My son-in-law.
Son-in-law and your dog. I guess that's your dog, right? So they refused to give their IDs. I didn't say
Is that a crime?
Yes, if you refuse in the state of North Carolina to give your identification to an officer, you are delaying my investigation.
Don't you have to have a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime?
And my reasonable suspicion was somebody calling in about a suspicious vehicle.
But what crime were they committing? Is suspicious vehicle a crime?
I'm not going tit for tat.
You can't answer my questions?
I'm not going tit for tat. Listen.
Isn't that a reasonable question? Is that how it's a reasonable question? Is suspicion a crime? So anybody can call in suspicious to anybody. This is how they respond, folks. I guess suspicion is a crime. So if you call in anybody suspicious, they're in trouble. We explained what we were here for. He's going to find the vehicles registered to a nonprofit ministry. Everything we said they're going to find is true. So I'm going to be interested to see here what the charges are, what they're being charged with. And we just walked up, and I tried to explain to him what you're doing since the vehicle belongs to our ministry. And it's like asking questions like, what are you detaining them, or do you have reasonable suspicion of a crime? What are we doing?
Well, I think the main issue is that they weren't identifying themselves.
Are they required by law to do that?
So based on what based on what Officer Park is telling us, the dairy bought this road from the state. So now it's considered private property.
Well, I mean, there's no signs or anything. I
understand that.
So,
but really the only thing we were doing was trying to ID and saying, hey, here's what they're doing, here's their information, put in our system.
I'm provided that information, and you guys can look up the vehicle and you can see it's registered to a ministry.
I got you. They weren't providing it, though. So now they're just delaying an investigation.
Well, I would think that since the vehicle belongs to me and I'm explaining, I'm telling people what we're doing, I can provide documentation.
We're not saying we want to seize the vehicle. We're just going to finish up with them real quick.
And are they under arrest?
Well, they're being detained right now until we figure out this mess out.
What do you guys need to know?
We got a complaint about a suspicious vehicle.
But it's suspicion of crime? I mean, there's the old post right there. And so let's say there's a sign. So they're not parked on the other side of it. This is just the apron, and it's a safe place to park. They were just waiting for us to walk out. We were going to trade and go on into Cherryville.
Our whole goal was just to confirm all that from who we were talking to.
But it's like our word doesn't mean anything, and we're not doing anything wrong. I mean, it's not like we live in a police state. I mean, they weren't being uncooperative. I'm not being uncooperative right now.
Well, nobody's saying you are.
So, I mean, but it's kind of cold out here. I'm watching my daughter in handcuffs over there. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, guys.
Well, if they would have identified themselves, we could confirm that, and we would have been out here,
This is not a stop and frisk or a stop and ID state. If you have a reasonable suspicion of a crime, then I'm required to identify myself. But if I'm not operating a vehicle or carrying a weapon, I don't even have to have an ID on me. And so my daughter wasn't operating a vehicle. She hasn't carrying a weapon, so she's not even required to have an ID.
I know, but she was in the vehicle probably.
But we're not. You can see the sign there. That's an old sign. If that's a no trespass sign, I can't tell. They're not on that. I mean, there's a certain amount of space.
It starts with the curtilage at the road.
I think there's a requirement it has to be posted in some way, and it's not.
This is somebody's private drive.
Okay, it may be, but it's not posted at all.
Okay.
It's not posted. Yeah, and it's a road on my little map on here. It shows a road going through.
I know, it used to be state owned, but the dairy farm bought it some time ago. So.
Well,
The officer claims multiple times that the road used to be state-owned, but that recently, a dairy farm had bought the rights to the road. If that is true, the road is still identified on Google Maps as owned by the state. The Gaston County website makes no indication that it's private property, and neither have the owners, who, as a side note, appeared to have stolen their family farm's logo from EA. There is no gate, purple paint, or signs to warn people that they are entering private property. But now, nearly 40 minutes into the stop, a representative from the dairy farm arrives on scene.
So, this is not a state road, it's a private road. Okay?
are you the owner?
I'm just an agent for the dairy here.
Well, we certainly didn't mean no harm.
Yep.
On the other side, there's a stop sign, and I checked the street. There's a street sign on the other side that says Baxter Road, and the arrow's pointing both ways.
Yep.
And so we just thought it was a cut through, and I just finished a walk across America. I live over here in Vail.
Gotcha.
And so I saw it on the map, and I thought, well, we'll just cut through. We're trying to get to Delview Road.
Yep.
And they were supposed to wait for us over here, and we were going to switch off. So I didn't see a gate, and we stayed on the road.
There used to be gates up, but people's tore them down.
But we certainly didn't mean any harm. If I'd have seen a sign or something, we wouldn't have gone through there. So,
So, hear me out here. Owners don't want you here. They don't want you coming back through the property.
I have no reason to.
So, hear me out here. We're going to trespass you from the property. Don't show back up. Don't come on the property, or you will be arrested.
I have no reason to, officer.
Perfect. I need your driver's license to keep all this documented.
I don't have a driver's license on me.
I need your identification. Do you have any form of ID?
On me, no.
Where's it at?
It's somewhere in the vehicle.
Somewhere in the car.
Yes.
Where at in the car? Do you know?
It's
Did
probably
y'all show up in the car?
I wasn't in. You know I didn't show up in the car.
No, I mean, like, did they drop you off for the walk?
Yeah, we started back here today off of another road.
What is your name, sir?
My name's Jesse.
Jesse. Is that short for anything or just Jesse?
No, Jesse.
What's your last? What's your birthday?
26. I protest giving this information because I haven't.
Okay, is this your son?
Yes.
I need your name too. I appreciate it, guys. Just don't show back up on the property. I assume you're going to take this vehicle away from
What's happened with them?
They're going to be going to jail.
For what? What's it?
for delaying my investigation. That's all I got to tell you.
What's the crime?
Listen.
What's the charge? I have a right to speak. That's
We're
not
not
a
arguing
crime.
with
You don't. It's either you.
What are they being
We're not
charged
arguing with
with?
you.
Look, it's
We're not
either you
arguing
take
with
the
you.
vehicle.
What's your name and badge number?
Listen, we're not arguing with
What's
you.
your name and badge
It's either
number,
you take
officer?
the
Listen,
vehicle
he's
out of
talking to
here.
you. Just listen to him.
You're either going to take the vehicle
I'm
out of
gonna
here or I'm
take
going to
it.
tow it. Okay.
I'm gonna take it.
So go ahead and get in the vehicle and get out.
Well, I mean, you guys are standing. If I
No,
make a sudden
I'll
move,
give
you'll
you
probably
time.
shoot me, sir.
Stop. Just get in the vehicle and proceed to get out of here.
What's your name and badge number?
Officer Hildebrand. I don't have a badge.
What's your name and badge?
Sergeant Brandon,
Sergeant Brandon. What's your department?
County Police.
Okay.
Thank you.
What are they being charged with, officer?
Just the land struck. Thank you.
Resist, delay, and obstruct what? So you're arresting them for what? What's the charge?
Man, I got her driver's license here. Okay. If you don't mind. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Keep filming it.
The two occupants in the vehicle were arrested for resist, obstruct, delay. And now, about 45 minutes into this interaction, a few of the 7 vehicles that arrived on scene begin to leave, and the man who is assumed to have called 911 for a parked vehicle on the side of the road approaches the pastor.
Yes, sir. I was going to tell you just a little bit about the property if you
Okay.
was curious. So it did actually used to be a state-maintained road. That's why it shows Baxter Road cut through. But back in 2008, when Cameron and Rusty Acre purchased the property, the state gave them the option to keep it a state-maintained road or purchase the road itself. So they purchased the road with all this land here.
Well, that makes
They're
sense.
just local dairy farmers.
that
You might
makes
have seen some of
sense.
the cows.
And you know, my issue is not. I mean, it's confusing.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy. I'm a guy that has no problem asking for forgiveness if I end up on a road, but I normally don't. I try not to.
Yeah.
So it was not. They came around. They didn't drive through. I mean, you can see because there's no mud, and we are the ones that walked through and walked up on this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a ridiculous response, but
Well, his main thing, just with, like I said, he used to have gates. People actually drove through the gates, so just the cost, but just liability since he's got a...
no, I understand that,
He's got,
and me, I have no reason to ever come back here, but I mean, it was just and I'm sure, it's not like lots of people go on long walks on cold days down country roads.
Oh, yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I mean, this is a ridiculous response. They're just parked here on the apron, and nobody, anybody tells me you're not supposed to be here, I'm not going to argue with that.
In North Carolina, and in most states, it is extremely rare that a private entity could purchase a public road owned by the state. But there are a few circumstances in which this can happen. First, if the road is abandoned. But this road is not, and is one of the only major access points connecting two highways. Second would be a petition process, where property owners would submit a petition to permanently close a public street. In this case, the city or town council would be required to hold a public hearing to consider the request. But it is not an easy ordeal, doesn't happen often, and even if the street was closed through the petitioning, the government would still have to have more hearings to allow for the transfer of ownership. The last situation would be when the road serves no other purpose but to access private property. But as stated a moment ago, Baxter Road connects two major highways, and given the current farm owner's propensity to violating such obvious copyrights, I for one have a hard time believing that they actually purchased the road, and instead may have installed no trespassing signs and gates to fake out everybody into thinking that they did own the land. Allegedly. Not to mention Google and the GIS county website still claims the road as state property. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's unclear whether these charges are going to stick, but I have my doubts. Be sure to check out Foolproof Gospel Ministries. Links to their channel and the full videos will be listed below.